Okay, let's talk about the fingers for a moment. So, when you practice in real life, you always want to hit the fingers. The fingers are the easiest thing to hit, the lead fingers. Those are the easiest things to hit. So you have to be very conscious of that. If you're always wearing gloves, and I see some of these schools, they have on these big mittens, and this is not the way you practice. You practice with little tiny gloves, a little bit of exposure, softer wood, and somebody that you practice with isn't going to hit you hard on the fingers, but they will hit you a little bit, okay? So you have to be aware of that. So in real life, boom, you want to hit the fingers right away. That's the easiest target. So you have to know how to hold your stick. So when you're fighting with somebody and you're getting close, like this, don't always have your fingers around the stick, okay? When you hit, boom, okay. But until then, you try to keep your fingers like this. You can hold the stick. No matter how heavy it is, you can hold it. Whether it's hardwood or steel, you can hold it. It'll grip. So when you're fighting with somebody in close, always like boom, leave it open. So if the stick comes across, it's not gonna hurt. It'll hurt if they do. It'll sting. It won't really hurt. But if you do like this and they wrap you on the fingers, they break them all. Okay? So the fingers are the #1 target. Okay? So learn how to hold your stick, regardless of which way you're doing it. Right? Right? And this will save you. Okay? That's it. Okay, double spear, form #1, using the practice staff. Okay. Now the form number 1 with the wooden spear. So this is hardwood. Just a locally made, inexpensive spearhead. Okay, form number 1 with a little bit of explanation. Okay. Don't kick it like this. You're going to kick it like this. Slice. Slice. Block. Attack. Block. Block. Attack. 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 Block. Attack. 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 Block. 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 Attack. Attack. Block. 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 Attack. 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 Block. Block. Attack. Block. Block. Attack. 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 Block. Attack. Block. 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 Attack. Attack. Block. 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 Attack. 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 Block. Block. Attack. Block. Block. Okay, that should do it. There's I want to show you this. So this is the stainless steel. So this is the real deal, but it takes quite a long time to build up your body to be able to use it. The other ones, the other staffs are pretty light. So eventually this will come out. Jesus Christ, come on. Well, maybe not. Okay. So you see the staff is hollow. This is stainless steel. The rim, when you buy it, is about 3 centimeters. And that gives it enough room. You can cut the female part of the threading. Okay. This is made from a solid 2-inch piece of stainless steel. So this piece of stainless steel is 2 inches in diameter and approximately, say 12 inches. So 2 inches in diameter, 12 inches long, one piece, and then he cuts it down into this. Something you'll notice, on a double spear, there's no sharp points, no sharp edges. This is more like a butter knife, okay? Because it is so heavy, right? And this is sufficient edge that it's so heavy that it will cut through pretty much anything. People, any flesh, bones, anything, it's so heavy it'll just cut through. So a double spear is not for throwing. On a single-headed spear, that's for throwing. That's why it has a sharp point, very sharp edges, okay? But for a double spear, no. Okay, so the weight on this spearhead is 735 grams. Okay, 735 grams. Okay. The staff, only the staff is 2,865 grams. 2,865, so that's 2.865 kilos. This spearhead is 740 grams. So together, in pounds, this is about 9.5 pounds. It's quite heavy. It may not sound like a lot, but it's very heavy. This is why you have to learn your hips. You can't rely on your shoulder muscles, your arm muscles. You've got to be able to use your hips. You can't use your hips and control the stick. There's no point. That's the art form. You also have to be very careful when you're using this, is it takes, it depends on the condition you're in, but 3 weeks to a couple of months to build up yourself with using this. You have to be very careful, you know, when to stop in your swing, because you can damage your spine if you go too far. So you have to be able to control it 100%. So this staff is 187 centimeters, the staff. Okay, the total length is 2.25 meters. That's the total length. Okay, that's the total length. So you can make it a little smaller. A double spear that's 2 meters is a little too short, because when you start moving it, you end up grabbing the back part of the spearhead. So it has to be, the total length has to be over 2 meters. Should be over 2 meters. Okay, I think that's it. That should be enough. This is going to be the double spear using a wooden staff. I'll do it slowly. So, this is the wooden spear. You can use wood in your staff if you can't afford or can't get stainless steel. Don't worry, you're not going to do any strikes to the ground like you do with the bamboo staff, so there's no problem about breaking it. This spearhead was made locally. I think it cost about 25 US bucks, 20 bucks. The guy wanted, just a villager. So with a double spear, the spearhead itself is not sharp. It's like a butter knife, you know, something like that, or even duller than a butter knife. There's no point. Okay? So a double spear, you don't throw it. A single spear would be sharp and pointed because you throw it. You need the penetration. With a double spear, it never leaves your hands. You don't throw it. And so there's no reason to have the edges sharp because it's so heavy, especially the stainless steel, it's so heavy that when you hit something, it's going to go right through it. And flesh is very easy, flesh and bones, very easy to go through with a butter knife. It weighs enough. Okay, and these things do. So, okay, that's it for this one. Alright, I'm going to talk a little bit about the bamboo staffs and double spears, so you know what we play with. Okay, so the first one, this is very flexible. This is all fiber. So this is, we're in Thailand, so you can buy this in Thailand. I don't know if you can buy it anywhere else. It's a little heavier and denser than rattan. Rattan is very light. And this is a little too light. It should be a bigger diameter. If you can find it. If you can find a 1 1/4 inch, I think that's 3 centimeters. 1 1/4 inch. 1, 2, 3, yeah. So that's about 3 centimeters in diameter. That's a good, and it'll give you a good weight. But this is a little too light. But we use this to practice, something like this to practice. When you spar with each other, when you do freestyle with each other, because first it might bruise you, but it will not break your bones. Okay, it will take out your eye, so you have to be careful. The height on staffs that you're going to play with should be your height plus your hand. So this height here, that's the proper height. Okay. You can have it any height you want, but this is a standard, we'll call it a standard height, okay? And this is what that is for, okay? When I do my demonstrations in the video clips, I always use this, because when you do this, you can use more power when you hit. You can use more power. You can't do it with the other staffs. This is another practice. We call them bamboo. Oop, wrong one. Okay, so we call them. We just call them bamboo staffs. It's just sort of a generic thing that we do. We just call it a bamboo staff. They're not bamboo. It's very hard to find good bamboo. Very, very difficult. And we live in the tropics. We tried. So again, this is we use for everyday practice when you do the forms. It's hardwood, a solid hardwood, not semi-hardwood. This particular wood in Thailand is called Mai Dang. Again, the height is this height, okay? Wears down after a while, but this height, and this is 1 1/4 inch, 1.25 inch, or 3 centimeters in diameter. So that gives it a good weight. It's a very nice weight. Okay? And this is what we play with when you practice every day. We don't use it when we're sparring unless you've choreographed what you're going to do. It just takes one mistake, one misjudgment on distance, and you can break somebody's bone, break their head, you can cause damage. So you have to choreograph. We use the soft one for freestyle, so you hit somebody and nobody cares. If you're going to use something like this and spar with each other, have a helmet. We use motorcycle helmets, just cheap motorcycle helmets, and we take off the visor, tighten up the chin. They work fine. They're very inexpensive, you know, less than $25. You know, you just need something cheap, but something that covers the whole head, okay, the whole face and the chin, and take off the visor. And then for glasses, we just get clear plastic, some kind of goggles or glasses in case somebody pokes you in the eye. So you've got to be careful. If you're okay, this is stainless steel. So this is the real deal. This is what you would play with in serious competition. Okay? So this is not much heavier than the solid hardwood. Again, this is the proper height. Okay, this height should be about the same. Okay. I'm 5'8", 5 feet 8 inches, or 173 centimeters. That's how tall I am. Okay. So if you're going to get stainless steel, this is 1 inch in diameter. You don't want anything bigger. 1 inch is fine, but it's 1 inch in diameter. But what you want is the heavier gauge, and by that I mean it's hollow inside, right? The tube is hollow, but the outside, the rim, is thick. So you can get them very thin, and they don't weigh anything. And you want the heavier gauge. We call it gauge. You want the heavier thickness. The heavier the thickness, the better. Okay? Don't get the thinnest thickness, because it just won't work. The reason we don't practice with this when we're doing the forms, and we're, you know, like for demonstration for forms and the hardwood also, is that when you strike hard and you happen to be on pavement like this, the wood it might break, right? If you go full force. And with this, if you go full force on pavement, not if you're on the earth, if you're on grass, fine, but if you're on pavement, if you go full force, you'll eventually bend this. And then what are you going to do? You can't, it's difficult to bend it back. So this is, you do play with this, okay, but it's better something like this on the earth, on the grass. The wood, we do a lot here. The wood is pretty resilient, and we just have to control the blows. You can't go full force when you hit the ground. Okay, so that's the bamboo staffs that we call bamboo staffs. Those are your 3. Now about the spears. So for double spear, you see that? We use this. This is for everyday practice. So this again is solid hardwood, not semi-hardwood. This is also 1 1/4 inch, 1.25 inch, or 3 centimeters in diameter. And this is 2 meters, 2 meters high. That's how tall that is. So I'm 5'8". This is what 2 meters looks like. Okay, this is a good practice size. It's nice and heavy. It's got good weight, and you don't have to worry about breaking it, because when you practice with spears, you're not striking the ground. Okay, you don't strike the ground at all. So this is what we use for everyday practice. Okay, this is better to do this, especially if you're in public. You know, people might get nervous, and especially little kids. If you don't see them, they'll run up to you. They think, "Oh, it's wonderful, wonderful," and then there might be an accident. So you got to be careful. So that's that. Okay, can you see that? Okay, so this is a double spear. The diameter is a little smaller. This is 1 1/8 inch. 1.18 inch. 1 1/8 inch. Little smaller diameter. These we had made in just the village. The blacksmith in the village made these for us. Okay, not bad, you know, just didn't cost very much money, you know, 20 bucks or something for one of these. Okay, and these we screw in because we're not going to take them out. So, one thing to keep in mind is that when you're making a spear head, okay, when you're making a spear head, that you don't want it razor sharp, okay? There's really no reason to be razor sharp. Because first, if it's razor sharp, it'll chip. It'll chip, 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 chip. And you don't need a point like they do in the movies, okay? You see, that's not a point. But this will penetrate you, no problemo, okay? So it'll last longer, especially if you're sparring with somebody. And if you're going to spar with somebody, of course you wear a helmet. Not much you can do about this. You just have to be able to judge distance. So normally the way we were trained here is that you practice with the bamboo staff for 3 years before you're allowed to use the spears, double spear. And the reason for that is judging distance. You have to be able to judge distance. This is very, very dangerous. So if you're off even a half an inch and that's it, you tear somebody's throat out. So you have to be able to judge distance if you're going to play with each other. You have to trust that other person. If you have doubts about that other person, don't do it. Don't do it. Okay, that's all there is to that. So this is just wood. Okay, it's fine. It's not a heavy weight or anything. It's a good weight, but it's a good practice. And the size is up to you. Okay? This can be longer, this can be shorter. Okay? That's up to you. Okay, this is the real thing. This is stainless steel. 100% stainless steel. So these can be as long or as short as you would like them. So you can have them, this particular one is 2 meters, but it can be 3 meters if that's what you want. Okay? So this is, again, this is the same 1 inch diameter. This is the same gauge as the one we use in the bamboo staff forms. So this has been drilled. Not drilled, what's that word? Okay, so this bit was pretty thick. I think it was 2 centimeters or millimeters. 2 or 3 millimeters, I forget. Okay? And this is the spear head. Again, you'll see it's rounded. I don't know what you can see here, but the edges are rounded. Okay? This is 670 grams. So when you have this made, it's made from one solid piece of stainless steel that's 2 inches in diameter. So it's one solid piece that's 2 inches in diameter, and what is this? Is approximately 10 inches, approximately 10 inches long. So it's a big heavy piece of solid stainless steel, and that's what you would do. So if you're watching this video clip, you probably have the blueprints to this stuff. Okay? Make sure the tang is long enough. You don't want a short one. You don't want to be swinging these things around and this fly off. You can really hurt somebody. So make sure the tang is long enough. And then it just screws in. So one thing to keep in mind if you're going to play with this, either by yourself or with friends or whatever you're doing, okay, is that these were made at a local shop. They had never made any before, and they did a pretty good job. I think they did a pretty good job. But if you tighten this all the way, it might not be. See? This is flat, this is off center. So what you want to do is you take one end like this, and you want it to be the same angle. Then you'll have to bring this back like this, so they're both the same, and get a piece of duct tape, good old-fashioned duct tape, and just put a small piece of duct tape on there and on both ends so they don't unscrew. But they're pretty solid. It takes a lot to unscrew them. So this is what we used. All right, this is quite heavy. So when you're doing any of the forms, any of the bamboo forms or the double spear forms, even if you do sword forms, you have to use your waist, you have to use your hips. That's where the power is. If you just try to use your arms all the time, they're just going to fall off. And for those macho assholes out there who have these big muscles and they want to use their arms, and it does look good, and they are quick, there's no art form. They're not practicing any art. The art is in the hips. So you can be a small person like myself, use something heavy like this, and it's good. I can handle it. It's no problem. I'm not relying on my shoulder muscles. So I think that's about it. That should do it. Good luck out there, people. Okay, I just want to clarify the dimensions of the stainless steel. So in the other couple of small clips, when I talk about the stainless steel, I misspoke. I didn't speak correctly. I said centimeters when I meant millimeters, and I said 2 and 3 millimeters when I meant 2 millimeters. So the stainless steel, regardless of how short or how tall, is 1 inch in diameter. So this is 1 inch in diameter. It's hollow tubing, and the gauge, the thickness around here is 2 millimeters. And that's enough for the shop to be able to drill and make the threading. Okay? So that's what I wanted to clarify. That's it.